One day, like probably many of you, I found myself eating at McDonald's. McDonald's is a happy place. I was with one of our daughters, Lori Beth Lessing. Lori Beth Lessing is 26 years old, but when I was at McDonald's with her one day, Lori Beth Lessing was 3. Little Lori Beth Lessing ordered McDonald's French fries. I didn't. Big mistake. Just the aroma of McDonald's French fries causes me to feel as though I will die. I will literally die if I don't have at least one of those French fries. So I reached over to grab one of Lori's. Another big mistake. She grabbed my hand and blurted out, "Mine." What? Really? Mine? I'm the one who actually saw the French fries on the menu. I'm the one who ordered the McDonald's French fries. I'm the one who paid for the McDonald's French fries. I could bury Lori Beth Lessing in French fries if I wanted to. I even brought the French fries over to her table. Lori Beth Lessing had all of these delicious French fries because of her kind and generous father. How dare! How dare! And I remind her of this even this weekend. "Dad, what'd you preach on?" "Oh, let me tell you, Lori." How dare! Publicly, for everyone to see, she grabbed my hand and yelled, "Mine." Well, here we are. We're in week 3 of our sermon series, Money Talks. Money Talks. Oh, it really does, doesn't it? If you were here a couple of weeks ago, we looked at Lot. Remember Lot in the book of Genesis? In Lot, we saw money's dark side. Money has a bright side, but money also has a very dark side. Last week, if you were here, we looked at Gehazi. Gehazi, that's right, that's his name in 2 Kings chapter 5. Gehazi showed us money's tempting side. But today, our man is Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus shows us money's generous side. Zacchaeus changes from mine to looking at Jesus and saying, "Yours." Zacchaeus transitions from looking at all of his wealth and saying, "It's all mine," to looking at Jesus and saying, "Lord, it's all yours." Let's see how Zacchaeus makes this transformational pivot from ugly greed and stockpiling and hoarding to joyful generosity. Any change, any real change, always begins with what? An honest look at myself. Not a quick look, not a facile look, not a simple look. An honest look at myself. We rarely actually do this, truth be told. So call a time out. Say, "It's time. It really is time. I need to do an audit. I need to do a checkup. I need to take an honest look at myself." The narrative begins with these words. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. Chief tax collector. This is the only point in the New Testament where a New Testament author modifies the noun tax collector with the adjective chief. Get it? There are a lot of tax collectors in the Bible, but the only person called the chief, the head honcho, the CEO, the chairman of the board would be who? This guy right here, Zacchaeus. If you were a Jewish tax collector in the first century, you worked for the Roman Empire. Many of you know that, right? Jericho, Judea, much of the known world was under Romans' heavy boot. So Zacchaeus works as a Jewish tax collector for Rome. Which means exactly this. Zacchaeus can charge you any amount he wants as long as Rome gets its cut. So he comes along and he says, you owe me $3,000. You say, wait a minute, look at my tax bill. It's only $500. Zacchaeus says, you give me $3,000 or I will have you imprisoned or I could have you crucified. That would get you digging deep into your pockets. No wonder Luke tells us that this chief tax collector was what? Wealthy. Wealthy. How wealthy? Zacchaeus is driving a 2019 Mercedes-Benz. Zacchaeus lives in a mansion off of Liberty Mills Road that has a square footage of 45,000 feet. Zacchaeus sends his children to Canterbury School, and after that, they go on to Harvard. Zacchaeus has season tickets to the Indianapolis Colts, the Indianapolis Pacers, and all of the Notre Dame football games. And get this, Zacchaeus smokes Cuban cigars. When it comes to money, Zacchaeus has one word. Mine. It's all mine. But one day Zacchaeus takes an honest look at himself. He calls a time out. He does a moral checkup on what's going on deep inside. And what brought about this honest look at himself? These words a few chapters earlier of Jesus. No servant can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Money, capital M. We'll come back to that. Note it. Jesus doesn't say you shouldn't serve two masters. Jesus doesn't say don't serve two masters. Jesus says you can't. Can't do it. You can't serve both God and money, capital M. The word Jesus uses here, I've transliterated for us, mamona. Of course, that's where we get the English word mammon, right? Mamona is a Syriac word for the god of money and wealth. Let me be as exact as possible. There's nothing wrong with money and wealth. Nothing wrong at all. But Mamona is the god of money. Mamona is money and wealth deified. Mamona is money and wealth at all costs. Mamona, mammon, money. It's a god? Oh, you bet your bottom dollar. Here is a 1909 painting of Mamona. Mamona's in bronze. And here's some poor soul worshiping Mamona. Money and wealth deified. And Zacchaeus takes an honest look at himself and he sees himself worshiping Mamona, worshiping wealth and money. Zacchaeus has taken something very good in God's gift and he's turned it into his God. And Zacchaeus realizes if he doesn't change from mine to Lord, it's yours, Mammona, money deified, will kill him. I didn't know that money could kill people. It's time to know. Money kills people. It destroys their marriages. It wreaks havoc in families. And it robs people of a real relationship with Jesus. Authorities in Boston a couple years ago found 2 ladies dead in their small apartment. Cause of death? Malnutrition. They weren't eating enough. What was behind it, though, you can bet that Mammona was behind it. Money deified. Because Boston authorities also found $200,000 underneath these ladies' mattresses. You see what Mammona does? Money deified makes us think that we need to stockpile and hoard until it kills us. If we don't get money right, everything is wrong. It's really true, folks. It's really true. You know that. I know that. You don't even have to be a Christian to know that. If we don't get money right, everything is wrong. If I don't get a right attitude toward money, everything in life will go completely wrong. And Zacchaeus finally gets it. Take an honest look, not a short look, not a proudful look. No, a humble, honest look at yourself. You and I cannot serve both God and mammon, Mammona, money deified. Next, to move from mine to yours, Lord, take a long look at Jesus. Not a quick look, not a quick look. A long look. A captivating look, a quick look at Jesus, that never changes anybody. But a long look does. The narrative continues in verse 3 of Luke 19. Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus, but being a short man, I understand this. I always tell people I'm 5'8.5", when in truth I'm only really 5'8". But I like that extra half. So he's a short guy. So he couldn't see Jesus because of the crowd. I understand that. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. So Zacchaeus, picture this, the head tax collector, the head of the IRS in Jericho, up in a tree. What did that tree look like? I'm so glad you asked. I was there. So was Christy Gherkin. Christy Gherkin, where are you at? Could you? So everybody kind of turn around over there. Christy, could just stand up just real quick. So Christy Gherkin, we didn't plan this, did we, Christy? Good. So you can sit down. But Christy Gherkin, she was there too in Jericho. And the reason why I remember that is Christy Gherkin rode a camel in Jericho. She did. She did. Yep. And her husband, John, almost died. Right. No, those were fun times when we were in Israel a month ago, right? But there was Christy on her camel. And after we left that place in Jericho, we went by a sycamore fig tree in Jericho. I took a picture. There it is. This isn't the tree that Zacchaeus climbed, but many people think this was the place, and he climbed a tree much like that because he was short. and he couldn't see Jesus because of the crowd. So he climbed a tree and got out on a limb. If I'm going to change and get a biblical, liberating, generous attitude toward money, I got to rise above the crowd. I need to climb up in a tree. I need to get out on a limb. I need to take a long look at Jesus. Throughout the New Testament, people take long looks at Jesus. The wise men traveled over a year, over 600 miles. Can you imagine that? Let's go hiking, honey, for a year. Why? We have to see Jesus. The shepherds left their flocks at night. They had to see Jesus. Nicodemus came to Jesus at night. Nicodemus, you see, he just had to see Jesus. The Samaritan woman in John chapter 4, she gathers her entire village together because she says, you've got to see this man. You've got to see Jesus. Peter and John, on Easter morning, they ran to the tomb. John outran Peter because John's younger than Peter. I understand that. But Peter and John ran to they didn't walk. They didn't delay. They ran to the tomb. Why? They had to see Jesus. Peter, in John chapter 21, jumps out of a boat into the water. Peter has to see Jesus. These people take a long look at Jesus. They climb a tree and get out on a limb. They do whatever it takes to see Jesus. Jesus, who is older than time and he is greater than death. Jesus, all the splendor of God wrapped up in a human body. Jesus, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Jesus, the root and offspring of David, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and the bright morning star. Jesus is passing through Jericho. I've got to see him. Where's he going? He's passing through Jericho to go to Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, the most beautiful person who ever lived is going to be rejected, spit upon, scourged, and crucified. That's why I take a long, lifetime look at Jesus. Because of Jesus, we have forgiveness of every sin. We have direction for every turn. We have light for every dark day. And we have an anchor for every deadly storm. Jesus. He tells us about him in Luke 19, verse 10. He says, the Son of Man, that's who Jesus is, came to seek and save lost people. Take a long look at him. Zacchaeus is up in a tree and out on a limb, doing whatever it takes to see Jesus, passing through Jericho on the way to Jerusalem. And Jesus stops at that sycamore fig tree in Jericho and says, Zacchaeus, come down at once. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. And then the next verse. It doesn't say most of the people or some of the people. Luke 19:7, all the people, all the crowd. What did they say? They began to mutter. Oh, we know what it's like to mutter. That's just kind of complaining softly so no one hears us, right? He's gone, that's Jesus, is gone to be the guest of a sinner. If Jesus was really a man of God, if Jesus was really a prophet, if Jesus was really the son of David, he would understand what a scoundrel Zacchaeus is. Jesus would understand that Zacchaeus is not just a tax collector. Remember, he's the chief tax collector. Zacchaeus has sold his soul to Mammon, the god of money. Jesus is absolutely wrong in going to Zacchaeus' house. Think again. The angel says in Luke chapter 2, verse 10, "Behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people." Again, all the people, all the lost people. All the people include Zacchaeus. All the people includes even and especially who? You. Take a direct look, not a glancing look. Take a direct look at people's needs. This is what Zacchaeus does. He stands up and says to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now." And not next year. Don't you just kind of love this? And not let me think about it. Let me talk to my stockbroker first. No, here and now, right now. See, this is a transformed life. I give half of my possessions to the poor. If I've cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. Zacchaeus took an honest look at himself, and he knew that Mammon had part of his heart. Zacchaeus took a long look at Jesus, and he knew he'd never been loved like that before. And Zacchaeus took a direct look at people's needs, and he said, "I gotta do something." People have needs, deep needs. That's why St. Michael Lutheran Church exists. Because people have deep needs. Take a direct look at some of these needs. We support every year 3 awesome schools. We've got our preschool. Our preschool director is here, Shannon Rose. I won't ask you to stand up, but I've already done that once. It didn't work very well, but Christy's still my friend. We've got awesome preschool. We have an awesome K-8 day school. We financially support over 350 children in that school. We support over 50 of our members at Concordia Lutheran High School. Isn't that awesome? We're taking a direct look at children's needs, and children need not Mammon. Oh, they get all kinds of messages about Mammon, man. They need Jesus. Well, we also support an awesome music ministry, an awesome youth ministry, an awesome millennial ministry, an awesome joy ministry, and the list goes on and on. Zacchaeus takes a direct look at people's needs. And the people in our church, and the people in Fort Wayne, and the people in the world need Jesus, who comes to seek and save messed up people like me. Lost people who have been found in the blood of Jesus. Zacchaeus then says what? "I will give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I've swindled or cheated or defrauded anybody," which he has, remember, he works for Rome, "I will repay them 4 times the amount." Zacchaeus sees the need, and he becomes generous. And then what does Jesus say? Today, salvation has come to this house because this man, too, is a son of Abraham. Abraham's a father of faith. You know that. Romans chapter 4, Galatians chapter 3. St. Paul says Abraham is the father of faith. He's the father of all who believe. So Jesus is saying, Zacchaeus, he's a son of Abraham. Zacchaeus believes, Zacchaeus trusts, Zacchaeus has faith. And you say, hold on. There's nothing in the text that says that. There's nowhere in Luke chapter 19, 1 through 10, that has Zacchaeus standing up and saying, Lord, I believe, I trust. I'm asking you into my heart. There's no place where it says Zacchaeus joined a church or got baptized. Why does Jesus say that Zacchaeus is a believer when Zacchaeus never says, I believe? I'll tell you why. Zacchaeus is a son of Abraham because financial generosity is the most important sign of a living faith. Now, I'm not talking about how much you give. I'm talking about financial generosity being the most important sign of faith. You see, singing is cheap. Talk is cheap. Anyone can do that. The sign of faith is that I am generous financially. I take a direct look at people's needs. And I make a pledge. And I do it generously and sacrificially. And I do it joyfully. That's why Zacchaeus is a son of Abraham. If I give just to the church budget, when we meet the budget, I'll stop giving. If I give just out of duty, when I feel like I've done my duty, I'll stop giving. If I give out of guilt, and once my guilt is gone, I'll stop giving. Zacchaeus shows us such a better way to manage our financial gifts. Take an honest look at yourself. I need to do this on a regular basis because mammon grabs my heart just like Mamona grabs your heart. Take an honest look at yourself. Take a long look at Jesus. Real long look at Jesus. Look at Jesus a lot longer and look at yourself. Take a direct look at people's needs. The people that this church exists to minister to. That will change how I give, what I give, and why I give. It really will. It will change how I give, what I give, and why I give. It will change me, and you. From Lord, it's all mine, to Lord, it's all yours. Let's stand and sing about it.